Stop for a moment. Not because something is wrong, because something that has been walking toward you for a very long time has finally caught up with you tonight. I am not going to tell you God loves you in the way you have heard since you were small. That version wore you out. That version made you apologize for existing. That version was a translation made by people who were also tired. I am going to tell you something else. God is madly in love with you. Right now. In this exact breath. With the kind of love that has a grip. The kind that does not loosen when you are at your worst. The kind Scripture describes with a Hebrew word that means He will not let go. You have spent years assuming that the softness of heaven was for people whose stories were more presentable than yours. That assumption is the reason a part of you has been braced for rejection for so long that it started to feel like a personality. That bracing ends here. You do not have to earn what was already decided about you before you had a name. You only have to stop arguing with it. Stay. Let Him look at you. Before we go further, I want to tell you what is waiting for you in this message, so you know exactly what you are staying for. In the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through the signs He has already been leaving in your life, the ones you dismissed as coincidence. Once we name them together, you will start recognizing them almost immediately. Then we are going to look, honestly, at the real reason you have not been able to receive His love, even when you believed in your head that He loved you. There is a specific mechanism behind that. Most teaching never names it. After that, I will give you a single Hebrew word that permanently changes how you understand the love He holds for you. And one simple practice, under a minute a day, that begins to rebuild your ability to receive. And before we close, I am going to speak a word over your life that I believe will stay with you long after this message ends. None of this asks you to do anything right now. It only asks you to stay. Let me take you back to a morning you might not have paid full attention to. You woke up, and the light coming through your window looked softer than usual, not brighter. Softer, like it had been arranged. The air in the room felt a little slower, as if someone had turned the volume down on your own life just long enough for you to notice you were still here. You sat on the edge of the bed, without reaching for your phone. That alone was unusual. And for about 12 seconds, before the day took you back, a quiet thought crossed your mind that you did not place there yourself. The thought went something like this: why does this feel like it is for me? You brushed it off. You had things to do. But the thought stayed folded somewhere inside you, and it has been waiting for permission to open ever since. Chosen one, that morning, was not random. That moment of softness was a message, and you have had more of those moments than you remember. You heard it when a song came on in a car you were sitting in, at a moment you needed it, and the lyric said the exact sentence your own mouth could not form. You heard it when a stranger looked at you 1 second longer than the situation required, and said something small but specific, and the words followed you all the way home, for a reason you could not explain. You heard it when you opened a book, maybe a Bible, maybe not, and the very first line you read answered a prayer you had not finished praying. You heard it when you woke up 3 minutes before your alarm, already carrying a thought you did not plant there, a thought that felt like it had been placed gently next to your ear while you slept. And you heard it in that quiet wave that has washed over you more than once, in the middle of nowhere special, at a stoplight, at a kitchen sink, in a parking lot before work, a wave of knowing that said, without logic, without evidence, you are loved. You brushed each one off. You called it coincidence. You called it a mood. You called it imagination. None of it was. Every one of those moments was a footstep, getting closer. Every one was a door being gently knocked on. Every one was a voice saying the same sentence in a dozen different ways, and the sentence was your name. I want to say something gently, because I know some part of you is already preparing to argue with what I just said. The loneliness you have been carrying, the one that shows up even in good seasons, even after real prayers, even in rooms full of people, that loneliness is not evidence you are unloved. It is evidence of a capacity for love that most of the relationships in your life have not been able to meet. You did not develop that ache because you were broken. You developed it because something in you was made for a love at a higher intensity than the one you have been receiving. The ache is not a flaw. The ache is a listening ear. There are researchers now working on the quiet science of the brain's own frequencies. People like Dr. Robert Lake, whose work you may know under the name The Youthful Brain. And they are beginning to document with data what the oldest scriptures have been saying quietly for thousands of years. We were built to recognize this kind of love when it finally arrives. There is a mechanism for it inside the body itself, but we will come back to that later in our conversation. For now, hold on to this. The ache you have been carrying is the shape of the love you were made to receive. And tonight, the thing it has been listening for is finally speaking clearly. Let me introduce you to someone. In the Gospel written by the Apostle John, there is a strange phrase that appears more than once. When the author refers to himself, he does not use his own name. He writes, "The disciple whom Jesus loved." Read that again, slowly. The disciple whom Jesus loved. Think about what that means. Out of everything he could have said about himself, his years of ministry, his courage at the cross, his suffering, his work, his miracles, the identity he chose to leave for every generation after him was this one: I am the one he loved. John was not claiming to be the favorite. He was claiming to be the seen. He had decided that the deepest true thing about him was not what he had done, not what he had achieved, not what he was known for. The deepest true thing was that he had allowed himself to be loved. Chosen one, listen carefully. He did not earn that title. He did not outperform the other disciples for it. He simply chose to believe what was already true, and let the belief become his name. That same title is sitting in front of you tonight. Your actual life is written on it. You do not have to earn it. You only have to be willing to carry it. You are the disciple whom he loves. All these years, you have been hearing a sound in your life that you could not fully explain. A knocking, faint, steady, patient, never absent. You told yourself it was the wind. It was not the wind. Someone has been knocking on the door of your life for longer than you have been aware of the door. He has not been trying to break it down. He has simply been waiting for you to recognize the sound. And here is where most messages about God's love would stop. They would end with a warm feeling and a verse and a kind send-off. But I do not want to leave you there, because if I do, nothing actually changes. You feel good for 20 minutes, and then you return to living the same way. There is a reason you have heard the knocking your whole life and still have not opened the door. A real, specific, nameable reason. And until we look at that reason honestly, no amount of me telling you that he loves you will be able to land. That is where we are going next. Here is the reason. And I am going to say it without dressing it up, because you deserve to finally have the real answer. Most of what you learned about love, the love you first absorbed before you had any language to question it, was conditional. You learned that you were loved when you behaved. You were loved when you were useful. You were loved when your emotions were manageable for the adults around you. Somewhere inside, you came to believe that love was something you had to keep earning, or else it would leave. Then you walked into faith. And faith, the way it was taught to you in too many rooms, did not undo that pattern. It deepened it. You were told to pray harder. You were told to try harder. You were told to confess more, to read more, to feel more guilty about the right things. The message underneath the message was that God would love you more when you performed better. So the same pattern that began in your childhood quietly took up residence inside your spiritual life. And then, on top of all that, came the shame. The quiet, internal sentence that plays on repeat. Not good enough, not clean enough, not consistent enough, not the kind of person this love is actually for. That sentence became the architecture inside your chest. And you could not hear the knocking on the door of your life, the knocking we talked about a few minutes ago, because there was a louder voice inside you that kept saying, you were not worth being pursued. That is the mechanism. That is the real, specific, nameable reason. And here is what is important. None of it was your fault. Now listen to this carefully, because this part explains why knowing he loves you has not been enough to actually feel loved by him. Your nervous system learned, in the first few years of your life, what love was allowed to look like. It learned the volume, it learned the conditions, it learned the limits, and it built itself around that learning, because that was how it kept you safe. When something showed up later that broke those rules, a love that was unconditional, a love that did not require performance, a love that asked nothing except your presence, your nervous system did not experience it as good news. It experienced it as a threat. This is not spiritual weakness. This is not lack of faith. This is a body that was trained to survive a specific kind of love, and it has been protecting you from anything outside that pattern ever since. Because anything outside that pattern feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar registers as danger. So listen to what has actually been happening all this time. What felt like distance from him was actually protection from a love your body did not yet know how to receive. What felt like his absence was actually your own system, putting up walls that kept you alive through seasons you could not afford to be unprotected. What felt like silence was actually the loudest kind of holding you steady until you were ready for what he wanted to say next. And what felt like abandonment was actually patience, waiting for a reception you could not yet give. Nothing about you was broken. Something about you was waiting. Let me pause here for a moment. I want you to notice that you have been listening to this for a little while now. Your breath has a specific rhythm. Your attention has a specific quality. You did not come to this message casually. Some part of you was looking for something, and some part of you has already found some of it. I am not going to teach anything in the next 30 seconds. I am just going to say something honest. Every person I have ever met who carries truth like this has had to walk through the exact thing we are talking about right now. No one receives a love this big without first being shown the wiring that was keeping them from receiving it. That includes the people you admire most. That includes the people who taught you. That includes me. You are not behind. You are not slow. You are exactly where people end up, right before the soil softens enough to take the seed. Take one slow breath with me. Just one. Good. Let me tell you about a woman. She spent about 20 years praying the same prayer in different words. The prayer was always some version of, am I pleasing you? Am I doing this right? Am I close enough to be heard? She prayed it in good seasons and bad. She prayed it after church, and before bed, and in the car on the way to work. The prayer was her way of asking the question she could not say out loud, which was, do you love me enough to not be disappointed in me? For 20 years the question did not move. Then, on an ordinary Tuesday, she was making coffee. She was not in a prayer posture. She was not trying to hear anything. She was just standing at the counter, in the kind of clothes you wear when nobody is coming over, and a sentence arrived. Not audibly. She did not hear it with her ears. But she heard it clearly, in the way you sometimes hear a thought that was not authored by your own mind. The sentence was this: I am not evaluating you. I am enjoying you. She stopped moving. The coffee cooled on the counter. She stood there for close to 10 minutes without knowing she was standing there. And in that 10 minutes, 20 years of performance quietly ended. That is not a story about a miracle. That is a story about what happens the first time the wiring finally lets the love through. There is a figure in Scripture I want you to meet, if you have not already. His name was Hosea. He was a prophet, which usually meant speaking hard truths to people who did not want to hear them. But the assignment he was given was not a sermon. The assignment was a marriage. Hosea was told to marry a woman named Gomer, and then watch her leave him, again and again, for other lovers. And every time she left, he was instructed to go find her, buy her back, bring her home, and love her again. Not with a love that said, "Do not disappoint me again," with a love that said, "I am not going anywhere." This is one of the hardest stories in the Bible, and it is also one of the most important, because it was never meant to be a teaching about Hosea and Gomer. It was meant to be a window into how God loves. Not the love of someone tolerating you, not the love of someone waiting for you to clean up your act. The love of someone who walks out into the dirt every time and takes your hand every time and says, "Come home, come home, come home. It is not done yet between us." That is the kind of love the quietest part of you has been asking to be seen by. And that is the kind of love that has been knocking on your door your entire life. Now remember what I told you near the beginning of this message. I said there was a Hebrew word for this kind of love. The Scriptures used "on purpose," because no other word was going to be strong enough to carry the weight. We are about to meet that word. And once you hear it, the knocking you have been ignoring your whole life is going to have a name. And the name changes everything. Before we go there, if anything we have walked through has touched something real in you, if you have recognized your own story in any part of this, do something small for me. Leave the word "beloved" in the comments below, just that one word. It is not a performance, it is a quiet way of saying, "I am here, and this is landing." And then stay with me. The next part is where it becomes personal. Here is that word. In the ancient Hebrew, there is a term the Scriptures use when the divine speaks about the love he holds for his own. The word is chashak. It has 3 letters at the root, chet, shin, kuf. When translators try to render it, they reach for words like cleave, or cling, or bind. But none of those fully carry it. Let me tell you what chashak actually means. There is another Hebrew word for love. It is called ahava. Ahava is the love of covenant. It is the love of the vow, spoken and kept, the love of the promise, made and honored. It is a beautiful word. It is the love most of us were taught about. But chashak is different. Chashak is the love that has a grip. It is the love that does not loosen when the circumstances would give it permission to. It is the love that arrives before the reason for it and stays after the reason has passed. It is intensity. It is attachment. It is a love that clings so closely that nothing in this created world can pry it open. You find this word in Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 7. The passage says something that should not be able to be true. It says, "The Lord did not set his love upon you because you were many. He did not set his love upon you because you were impressive. He did not set his love upon you because you had earned it. He set his love upon you because he did, because he chose to. Because the clinging was already inside him before you ever gave him a reason." That is chashak. The same word shows up again a few chapters later, and it shows up not as a statement of feeling, but as a statement of fact. The kind of love being described is not one that fluctuates. It is one that decides, and then holds, and then refuses to release. Listen closely to what this means for you. The knocking you have been hearing your whole life, the one you told yourself was the wind, now you finally know the name of the one knocking. His love is not affection. It is not sentiment. It is not a feeling he has about you on his good days. It is a grip, and nothing you have done has loosened it. Nothing you have failed to do has loosened it. No silence of yours has loosened it. No wandering of yours, no doubt of yours, no years of distance, no seasons when you stopped showing up, no version of yourself that you are ashamed of now. None of it has loosened his grip. Let me come closer for a moment, because what I am about to say is something I have been carrying as I prepared this message for you. I hear the Father saying over you tonight, I have pursued you. I have waited for you. I have loved you with a love that does not let go. Do not do anything with it yet. Do not try to feel the right way about it. Do not try to earn the right to keep it. Just let it sit in the room with you, the way you would let an old friend sit across from you, without either of you having to speak. Love is not the presence of certainty. It is the presence of a grip, and the grip is already on you. Now listen, because this love, this chashak, this love that has decided and is not letting go, is about to reorganize 3 specific things in your life. It is going to start happening whether you try to make it happen or not. The first thing this love will reorganize is how you see yourself. There has been a voice in you, an internal narrator, that has been keeping score on your worth since before you had language to question it. It compared you. It corrected you. It kept a quiet ledger of the ways you had disappointed yourself. It told you the version of you worthy of being loved was still somewhere in the future, maybe after a few more fixes, maybe after you got one more thing right. That voice is going to begin losing its authority, not all at once, but in small moments you will catch at ordinary times. You will look at a photograph of yourself and feel a warmth you did not expect. You will make a mistake and notice that the old pit of self-punishment did not open the way it used to. You will rest without first earning the right to rest, and the world will not end. You will walk past a mirror and, for a second, see someone being loved. That is what delighted in feels like from the inside. It is not a performance upgrade. It is a demotion for the old voice and a promotion for the true one. The second thing this love will reorganize is how you receive tenderness. For most of your life, tenderness has arrived at your door and been deflected. Someone paid you a compliment, and the first move of your mouth was to explain why it was not quite true. Someone offered help, and you said you were fine before you checked inside to see if you were fine. Someone looked at you with kindness, and you looked away, because looking back at kindness felt unsafe. That reflex is going to start softening. You will catch tenderness coming toward you, and instead of blocking it, something in you will pause. Something in you will say, okay, I will let this in. And you will realize that the world does not punish you for receiving. The people around you do not take back what they gave. Tenderness, which used to feel like a test you were about to fail, will start to feel like a home you already belong in. The third thing this love will reorganize is how you hear his voice in the quiet. For years, you have believed that when the sky went silent, he had gone somewhere. That is not what was happening. He was never speaking to you in the volume you were taught to listen for. He was not only in the loud verse. He was not only in the great sermon. He was not only in the spiritual experience you kept waiting to have. He is the quality of the room itself. The peace that has washed over you at unexplainable moments. The softness in the air before a decision you were afraid to make. The strange, quiet steadiness inside you right before the thing you were dreading arrived, and you turned out to be able to handle it. The stillness that came in the middle of a very hard night, when nothing external had changed but something inside you stopped shaking. That was him. That was always him. You did not miss his voice. You were listening for the wrong kind of sound. From this point forward, you are going to start noticing him in exactly the places where you used to feel abandoned. I told you near the beginning of this message that before we closed, I was going to speak a word over your life. A word I believed would stay with you long after this message is over. That moment is coming. Stay with me just a little longer. What is about to be said was arranged for you before you arrived here. I am not going to rush it, and you do not need to rush either. But before we get to that moment, there is one last honest conversation we have to have. Because, even now, even after everything we have walked through, there is still a door inside you that has stayed closed. And until we look together at why, this love will keep knocking without being able to fully come in. Take a breath. The next part is not harsh, it is honest. And it is the door opening. So let me ask you a question. Why has the door inside you stayed closed, even through the moments when you knew, in some real way, that he was knocking? You have probably told yourself, it was because you were lazy about faith, or because your sin was worse than other people's, or because something about you was too far gone to be reached. None of that is true. The door has stayed closed for a very specific reason, and it is not a spiritual reason. It is a biological one. Your nervous system, the system that has kept you alive from the day you were born, learned early on what love was allowed to look like. It learned the conditions. It learned the volume. It learned when the affection would come and when it would be withdrawn. And it built itself around those rules, because those rules were how it kept you safe. When something now arrives that breaks those rules, a love that has no conditions, a love that does not require you to perform, a love that asks for nothing except your presence in the room, your nervous system does not read it as a gift. It reads it as unfamiliar. And unfamiliar, to a system built for survival, registers as a threat. That is why you have been able to know, intellectually, that he loves you, while at the same time being unable to actually feel loved by him. Your body has been rejecting the signal before your mind could even process it. The door has not stayed closed because you do not want him. It has stayed closed because your nervous system does not know how to open. And there is something else underneath this, something I want to name carefully, because I have seen it stop more people than I can count. Somewhere inside, you have been afraid of what happens if you actually let this love land. You have been afraid that if you let yourself be loved this much, you will owe something you cannot afford to give. You have been afraid that the people who loved a smaller version of you will not love the version that stops apologizing for existing. You have been afraid that if you let the grip of chashak really hold you, you will have to become someone your old life cannot keep. Listen carefully. That fear is not selfishness, and that is not failure. That fear is not rebellion, and that is not rejection. That fear is not weakness, and that is not proof you do not deserve him. That fear is just a nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do, and it is not going to be argued out of you. It is going to be gently retrained. Here is the beginning of that retraining. I am going to give you one practice you can start using tomorrow morning, and it takes less than a minute. You do not have to go anywhere. You do not have to set anything up. You will do it from wherever you wake up. I call it the 3-breath reception. Here is how it works. In the morning, before you reach for your phone, you are going to take 3 slow breaths. Not deep, athletic breaths, just slow ones. On the first breath, you are going to notice one thing, one small sign of love that is already in your life. The person still breathing in the next room. The sunlight coming through the curtain. Just notice it. Do not label it. Do not rank it. On the second breath, you are going to do the hardest part. You are going to not argue with it. You are not going to explain why it does not count. You are not going to say, well, other people have more. You are simply going to let it be what it is. On the third breath, you are going to let it land. Not earn it, not deserve it. Just let it settle in your chest, the way a small weight settles into an open hand. 3 breaths. Under a minute. 7 days minimum before you decide whether it is working. And what will begin to happen, slowly, is that your nervous system will start to learn that unconditional love is not a trap. And, when it learns that, the door you have been unable to open begins to open on its own. Let me pause for a moment and put all of this in plain language before we walk any further. The reason you have not been able to feel his love has not been because you failed. It has been because your body learned, a long time ago, to treat unconditional love as something dangerous, and it has been protecting you from it ever since. The love itself, the one the Hebrew calls chashak, has not moved. It has not weakened. It has not adjusted based on your performance. It has held its grip through every season of your life. And you are not a project he is trying to finish. You are the person he has been with, the one he has been loving, while you were still learning how to let yourself be loved. That is what we have walked through together tonight. Stay with that for a moment. Do not move past it too fast. Before we walk the last stretch home together, I want to tell you about something specific, and I am going to be honest with you about what it is. You have been listening to this message for a while, and if something in it has been landing, you are probably feeling something your body is not used to. A softening, maybe even a quiet ache in the chest, the kind that shows up when something true finally arrives. That softening is a state, and that state is exactly where reception happens. Chosen ones carry a very specific thing inside them. They carry a frequency that, when it is awake, makes it possible for the grip of his love to be received without the nervous system rejecting it. Before any tool, before any practice, you have to understand that what you are working with is not broken. It has just been sleeping. Let me tell you about someone. There was a woman I spoke with recently, someone who had walked with faith for most of her adult life and who had done everything she was told. She prayed, she served, she read, she believed. And she still could not feel any of it land. She described her inner life as a room where someone was always talking and no one was listening, not even her. She found the audio tool I am about to tell you about, and she began using it in the mornings before anyone else in her house was